Come on up. Okay, so with masking fluid, you want to use not a good brush, so not one of your favorite brushes, because it can ruin your brushes, and so it's really annoying if you use a good one. So this is a cheapo brush that I have, and I like to put a little piece of tape on mine so that I remember. But if you can remember without it, that's fine.
I don't have that many brushes.
If for some reason you have to use a good one, the trick to making sure it doesn't ruin it is washing it like right away with warm water and soap. Because it likes to get in the brush, like you can kind of see it dried.
Oh yeah,
those little pieces. It likes to get in there.
So it's like a nasty glue.
Yeah. And where's my one that I did? So this is the one I did earlier, and so what it does is it just keeps your paper white, so that you can, not have to worry about it.
So you can paint over that.
And then it just, the hard part though, is because mine is blue, it's hard to tell what your colors look like. So that light pink, it didn't look light enough because the darker blue frisket was right next to it.
Oh, I understand.
So that's the beauty of doing like both at the same time, is I could see like, okay, it was light enough for me. Okay, so I'm gonna put it just where I want those white highlights to be. And you really don't need, where's my picture? You don't need a lot, which is why I like this brand, because it's blue. The Winsor Newton, which seems to be the most common one people get, looks blue in the bottle, but it's actually like a clear.
So it's not.
No, that's something else. That's an ink. So that's why I gravitate towards this one. And less is more. The more you put on there, it's just like the longer it's gonna take. So really, as long as it's covering the paper, you don't need a bunch. And I'm just putting it down. And with clouds, I like to go, I'm not being super precise, because that kind of helps make it look fluffier. If we're too perfect, you lose the shape of the cloud. Just kind of, and it's at least for our sake, where the light part is the top of our cloud, or we're kind of looking at it underneath, and the light is kind of above. So that's why it's on this top edge. So you don't want to go too far and too much, then you're going to lose the idea that we're trying to get. And my cloud is always different than theirs, so I'm just kind of putting it where it relates. It doesn't have to be the same. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, so I have some you guys can use. You can share together, whatever we need. Okay?
Are there any bad brushes we can use?
You can use mine.
Oh, I have the one that Wednesday told us to buy.
We're gonna do the sky first, actually, to help carve out our shape. That's how I prefer to do it. You can always do it the other way. Do the cloud and then the sky. But I think it's helpful to see what the white looks like as a highlight as you're building the shadows of the cloud. Versus if you have this white behind it, you can't really see what it looks like as much. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I'm using my flat brush. This time I'm trying wet on wet. I usually do it wet on dry.
Oh, I'm enjoying the wet on wet.
But I think that's why I get all those strokes. So bigger brush. With the masking fluid one, you can be a little less controlled because the masking fluid edge is going to create that edge, but we do have spots where we didn't put it, so I can't lose too right, exactly. I like the bigger brush because then my edges aren't as perfect. I think if you get a smaller brush, you tend to lean a little more into the perfectionism of the perfect edge, but clouds usually don't have perfect edges, as we know. So I'm kind of turning into the corner to use that as the tip if I need it. You can, when we get to the without masking fluid, have both, have a smaller detailed brush to help you get in, and then use the bigger one to fill in the spaces. We are going darker on the top and lighter on the bottom. That is kind of a standard background for a lot of things, for any kind of still life, for anything where you're kind of making up the background, like, you know, like you have one object as your focal point and your background is supposed to help whatever the object is. We're going lighter on top because that's where the highlight is, and darker on top because that's where the highlight is, and lighter on the bottom because that's where the shadow is. The more you kind of want to have like opposite values of the background as the object has. Does that make sense? Because that'll help emphasize what the values of the object themselves. So I'm going lighter at the bottom. You can also go like more
this
cerulean.
This one, did you not use? Yeah,
I used more cerulean.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Either way, as long as it's lighter, you can just go light ultramarine, or you can go a light cerulean. Okay. And I'm not going all the way to the edge because we don't have it taped down. If you go to the edge with that, it's really gonna wanna curl up. So because these are more of like exercises, I don't care that it's the perfect finished look. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to this one. If you guys wanna watch, you can. If you feel comfortable going in. Oh, I had to pour more or squeeze more ultramarine out today, and now I've used like half of it because it's all been wet. Oh, I should have gone wet on wet because I liked that, I think. See if that helps with this one too. Now this is the one we have to be a little more particular.
Oh yeah.
Because we have nothing stopping us from going too far. If you accidentally go a little too far, you can try to tap it out, like with your paper towel. But blue is so dark, because it's not wet already, it probably won't. So just change your shape a little bit. That's fine. That's fine. You know, don't freak out too much. Mm-hmm. This is also why I like to draw light, because sometimes it's nice to allow your brush while you're painting to interpret, like to dictate those shapes, like your movement. I think I also get a more natural look when I do that, when I'm being, rather than being like so controlled. This one I don't have a lot of room below, that's okay.
I put no room below.
That's fine. That is fine. All the background is doing is helping us see our cloud a little bit better. Because if we just had a white background, you wouldn't really be able to see the highlight. Like it wouldn't be a highlight anymore. Okay, so if you feel ready to go for it.
Thank you.
That's where we're gonna start. I think it says 7:20 on the clock, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, we got time.
Very much parent line, but nothing like that necessarily. Right? Like, it's just different. It is, yeah. And I think the interesting thing is like she works full time, just like so different than my life. Right. What does she do? Marketing for Deloitte. Okay. Yeah. She's
It's hard to tell because we can't see the white, but we're gonna do a light pink. You can see it in these two, or in any of them, this first light pink layer, okay? It is both reds, a little ultramarine, and a little brown to make this kind of pinky purple mauve color,
both
okay?
reds.
Yes. And so go light. With the masking one, you're going to go all the way to the masking, okay? I mean, obviously, you're going to pay attention to the lower edges. Without the masking, you're going to create that edge. So you gotta,
Like
I don't
the
know.
tree?
Yeah,
Kind of like we did.
yeah. I don't know where my printout is, so I'm just going to use that one. You're just kind of,
Both reds, ultramarine.
yeah, I'll say it again as many times as we need.
The brown is in there?
Just a little bit,
Okay.
just to dull it a little more. But yeah, I'm kind of using a similar of the tree where I don't want a super smooth and fluid edge, okay? You're just kind of pulling it down. And sometimes it can touch.
And I see some layers we do more red on,
Yes.
and some we do more blue on.
So that one, I painted them at the same time, but when I did my mixture, I had to remake it for this one, and that top layer looks more blue. But yeah, just as we layer, you're gonna add more of your colors. Oh God, I'm almost out.
Can you say the colors again?
It is a little bit of both reds, a little bit of ultramarine, and a little bit of brown. And so as you layer, okay, you can see this, like they're the same color, but doesn't that one look lighter because that blue's right there versus that one looks darker?
Wait, really?
They're the same color.
Well, and I guess
Is
this
the
one
same amount of
probably,
pigment?
Yes.
that one has dried some too.
Yes,
right?
it is also dried. Good point. So that's
Oh,
why
yeah, that's
it's
crazy looking.
So now this one's dry enough.
Wait, there are two browns, right?
I have two browns. You should.
I have two
umber
browns.
brown.
Yeah,
Two brown.
or
Umber brown.
We're using the umber, not the sienna.
Yes.
Okay, so the one
Yeah.
that's not as red.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You're using those same four colors, but at each layer it'll just get darker, like more pigmented.
Okay, so you are adding more pigment, not just
Less water.
building. You know how we did that the one time? It was like
With the same color.
but just
You
building?
could.
It doesn't look like it.
You'll probably
It
need
looks
more
like a different
layers to do that. Yeah. Oh, that was much too big of a jump. But so now after here, you're going. Now with even though this is the mask one, now we're not going all the way to the edge. You're
Even more.
you're building up
And so with this one, what color did you add more of to
all
make
of
it?
them.
Oh, got
Before
it.
I just had a
all one
little bit of
tiny
each and
little
more
bit.
water. Now I'm adding a little. The water's getting less and the pigment's getting more. If that makes sense. You can. I think in the hard part is like with the mixtures, it's a little different each time. This one looks a little more purple, versus that one looks a little more brown.
Right.
There's, I mean, no wrong answer with this. It's just your interpretation. As long as the value's getting darker, that's what.
We're going for.
Yeah. And if you go too dark, which someone did earlier, like the top of that feels a little dark, you can just kind of, you know, tap it lighter.
Gives it even more.
Yeah, you're just kind of stain. It's like more of like a stain. So it's okay. As long as you like do something about it before you let it dry. And so you'll just kind of get, your shape will get smaller and smaller as you go darker. These two, I think I can go, I'm going to go darker on this one. Since it's dry and that one's not.
We don't rub the masking thing off till the very end.
Not, yeah, the very end. I mean, you can, but
Next
then
week.
there's a risk of you accidentally like going over it, which, you know, if you feel like you won't, that's fine. I think by the last one, I'm not really, it's not just down. You're kind of finding the darkest parts of it.
I like that, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There.
So they don't have to be like connected.
Wow, that added a lot there to like making the shape.
Okay? So
Beautiful.
you're just finding your darks. Now, if you're wanting more of, like, to me, this doesn't feel like a rain cloud. Like, if you wanted a more rain cloud, I think more of like a purple blue rather than a, like, this feels like maybe a daytime or the sun's about to set. So the colors work. It could also be like your light, this feels like the light source is above. Maybe your light source is at a different point. Like where, that's where, like if you're, especially if you're coming from a picture, where's my light source? That should be where my highlights are. Okay, do you guys have any questions? No?
No, that was the easiest thing of the night.